Hello, hello, good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, February 7th. Coffee's good today. It's about 48 degrees here in northern New Jersey, and I'm feeling good. I am feeling good today. Everything's coming along well. Sometimes I'm just clicking and clicking because I'm opening stuff up, opening what we're going to be going over. But, sometimes, especially when I would just say when you have a busy career, no matter what it is that you're doing, because I can't imagine that it's so much different if you're not an entrepreneur. But sometimes you just have so much stuff going on that things might get put off for 3 months or things might get put off for 6 months, but you get around to them eventually. But that can actually be a good problem to have. And I'm not saying missing deadlines is good because you don't want to just be out here missing deadlines and stuff like that. I'm more so talking about maybe project ideas that you have. Sometimes it can just take a while to get there. But if you're backed up with progress and you're backed up with productivity, it's not so bad. Everything is going well. Everything's going really well. Mara, hello. What's going on with you? How you doing? But yeah, no, we're doing well one day at a time. We getting closer to the spring, which I'm really looking forward to because these short, cold days definitely take their toll on everybody. I mean, seasonal depression is real, and especially now that I'm in my 30s, you know what I'm saying? I'm 32. I turned 32 last Wednesday. Man, you really come to appreciate mental health problems and things like depression and anxiety when you when you come of age. Because goddamn, when you young, I mean, not that you don't have any stress when you're younger, but I guess it's a combination of when you're younger, you don't really fully understand everything that's going on. You haven't really been around long enough to fully process the world. And also, you just have less baggage, so it doesn't take as big of a toll on you. But then, man, you start to get older, you become an adult for real, and it's like, oh, all the baggage, it just weighs you down, man. It gets heavy. You got to take care of yourself, which is what I'm coming to appreciate more and more. But I need to shave. I need to get my hair done. I need to go to the barbershop, but it's all good. We here, we breathing. Libby, how you doing? So let's go ahead and get into yes, definitely. It is definitely crazy that we segregate those two because so much of so much of how we feel physically or, some of the physical conditions that we end up having to deal with can come from years of stress or how we cope with different types of things when we're going through shit. Absolutely. But yeah, no, I'm definitely glad that well, I know for y'all who are in Southern California, I know it may be a little warmer there, but still I'm I'm ready for the spring. Oh, we got Monk without a cause. What's going on? How you doing? Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I don't think I look terrible right now, but I could definitely look better. Go to the barbershop, get this cleaned up, get my dreads retwisted, and I could, just use the clip as the shade. But let's get into it today. We got some clips. We got let's see, we got some House Republicans. Oh, well, Matt Gaetz suggesting that Kevin McCarthy should now be the head of the RNC chair. He wanted Kevin McCarthy to be out of the Speaker of the House seat, but he's like, oh, no, we should get him back in there. You never know what you're going to get with Matt Gaetz. You can't. It's a person that you can't be too friendly with, but you can't be too friendly with politicians because at the end of the day, they got to serve their donors and they got to stay in office. So let's see. We got Johnson. Oh, yeah, because Republicans failed to who were they trying? They was trying to impeach what Mayorkas or something like that. They was trying to impeach him. They didn't do that. Let's see what we gonna start with. We got some interesting stuff today. Now we'll save some of that in a sec. You know what? Let's start off with Chip Roy. That's what we're gonna start off with. We got a couple of things with Chip, with good old Chip right here. Because Chip Roy, he endorsed Ron DeSantis, but now he doesn't want to endorse Nikki Haley. We watched a clip of that yesterday. I was a little upset because I was gonna post because I've been posting short clips from the streams, and I had everything recorded yesterday, and I was gonna post it, but for some reason, like the audio on the live stream is fine, but for some reason, when I recorded it over, it was all loud and jumbly. So hopefully that doesn't happen today, because I put in the effort to get all that shit recorded for y'all, but sometimes technology just betrays you. That's just how life goes. So here we go. Let's start off with Chip Roy, good old Chipper. Republican Chip Roy says Trump failed to close the border during every year of his presidency. Trump claims presidents can close border with no need for legislation. And Chip Roy, oh yeah, we was talking about Chip the other day because it was like he didn't want to endorse Nikki. I was like, she's a woman, god damn it. That's a line I can't cross, Can't cross that line. Can't go endorsing a woman.
No, we're not going to just pass the buck and say that, oh, any president could walk in and secure the border. I saw former President Trump make that allegation earlier today on one of his social media posts. All the president has to do is declare the border is closed and it's closed. Well, with all due respect, that didn't happen in 2017, 18, 19, and 20. There were millions of people who came into the United States during those 4 years.
Donald Trump just, it's just, this is nothing new that Donald Trump just says things, but just the way his base endlessly defends him is just so embarrassing and so cringe. Like they'll be like for instance, a good example would be this, the E. Jean Carroll settlement where he just had to put up $83 million. There's really not much of a way to argue around. Yeah, Trump probably should have just been quiet and he wouldn't have had to pay that. But then if you defeat them there, they'll be like, well, it's just because he's a strong leader. He's a strong man. He doesn't back down from a fight. He doesn't really know how to handle himself in these situations. And then they'll talk about him like he's a 12-year-old, like he still has a long way to go, many a more year to mature and develop into it. Like, nah, bro, this motherfucker done lived his life. He ain't gonna mature no more than he ever has been. It's done. The dude's 78 years old. He's been living the way that he's been living for many a moon. It's not happening. It's just, or something like this. Like MAGA will be like, Biden can just shut down the border. Like, well, why didn't Trump do it? Well, he couldn't because, and then they get to sounding like hold on, did this shit cut off? Hold on. Did this stream cut off? Okay, my bad. There's something weird happened on the side. It looked like it had cut off for a minute, but I don't think it did. But yeah, and then MAGA will start to act like establishment Democrats, where they'll be like, well, why didn't you just try harder? Why didn't you just do more? Like Joe Biden, why didn't you just do more to erase student loan debt? You ran on doing 25, what was it? 25,000 or something like that for each person or something like that. That's what he ran on. It was like, why didn't you push harder? Well, he really couldn't because the forces at play. He couldn't do it because of the Republicans. And then MAGA will start talking like that. Joe Biden can just shut down the border. Well, why didn't Trump do it? Well, he couldn't because the Democrats, the leftist Democrats are in the. It's boring too. Like that's the crazy shit about it. Like this shit is just boring. Like you motherfuckers are stupid and you're boring.
All the president has to do is say, close the border, and the border will be closed. A costly new bill is not necessary.
He said this yesterday. He said this not even 24 hours ago. And again, it doesn't matter what he does. It's like they'll just find a way to be like, well, we got it. Like, is he a strong leader or is he a 12-year-old who doesn't? It's embarrassing, bruh. It's so embarrassing because at the end of the day, it's like, so often what Trump supporters will do is they'll like start talking like, well, Biden this, Biden that. And it's like, bruh, but the difference is that people don't worship Joe Biden the way that y'all worship Donald Trump. Like Joe Biden is just an incumbent president. He's just he's just another politician. That's it. Like the Democratic Party can very easily survive without Joe Biden. It can easily move on. But like Republicans are, it's so stupid. All right, hold up. What we got? We got something from Karl Rove. What's Karl Rove talking about today? What we got with Karl Rove? Yes, exactly. Republicans, they just want somebody who will think for them. Just think for me. I don't want to cross my T's and dot my I's. I want somebody else to do all that shit for me. Karl Rove goes off after Fox host asks about Michelle Obama replacing Biden. I think what was it? Trump posted, and again, Trump is up in the polling averages, so he is up. But like sometimes he posts polls that are just like, you could have just posted a poll from like Quinnipiac or YouGov or something like that. You didn't have to post this poll that had you running against Michelle Obama because she's not gonna jump in the race. But
Biden rematch set in concrete. You think that is the way it will definitely be in November this year?
I don't know why I say this, but I don't think it will be. I mean, you began today's program with the latest iteration of Joe Biden's memory problems. I mean, the other day he had a meeting talking about how shortly after becoming president in 2021, he had a G7 or G8 meeting, and he had a conversation with Francois Mitterrand, who died in 1996. So, I just, for something inside me says somebody's going to wake up on that side, Jill Biden or maybe a sister Valerie Biden Owen, and say, Joe, this is not the way for you to go down in the history books. Step aside, let somebody else be chosen at the convention, and let somebody else be.
I mean, honestly, at this point, this is just a waste of a time to discuss because it's not going to happen. It's not happening. I mean, I'm not, why even discuss it on air? Drop out Joe Biden, like for who? Like it's just like it's too late. It's over. Like it's Joe Biden versus Trump. That's what it is.
Go into the lists against Donald Trump in the fall. I just think the Democrats are not going to allow this to continue.
Do you think that's how it's going to happen? Somebody close to the president, a family member, goes to him and says,
like, what do you mean? Like the Democrats aren't going to allow this to continue? What are they going to do about it? What are they going to do? I mean, Joe Biden, he just I mean, not that anybody's really running against him in the primaries, but he just got like 96% of the vote and whatever the last thing was. Like, what is the Democratic Party going to do? Nothing. So it's just like this is just dead airspace.
Just like they went to Nixon and say, "Time's up, Mr. President. Step aside."
Yeah. Well, Nixon.
What do you mean with Nixon? Nixon was in the process of being impeached. That's not the same. What are you talking about?
It was Senator Barry Goldwater who led a group of senators to say your time is up. But I think Biden is impervious to that kind of input. I think it would have to be a family member. And look, I don't know. This may be hope rather than an expectation. This may be what I think would be best for him and best for the country and, frankly, best for the Democrats. I mean, Joe Biden thinks he is the only person who can beat Donald Trump in the Democratic Party. He may be the only person who can lose to Donald Trump in the Democratic Party.
Well, can you deal with this quickly? I keep hearing that Michelle Obama will be shifted into the... No, you're shaking your head. It's not going to happen?
No, look. She hates politics. You read her autobiography. She didn't want her husband to run for the state senate. She didn't want him to run for the president. She is not a political animal. And besides, look, Barack Obama was my charge at the White House. I dealt with him for 3 years. He's a smart guy. He would know that if Michelle Obama woke up tomorrow and said, you know what, I've decided after a life of hating politics, I want to be the vice presidential running mate or run for president, people would say, you know what, that's Barack trying to get a third term as president, and they wouldn't go for it. But the starting point is...
This is basically just like shit old people want to hear. Like this is literally just dead. Like this is like nursing home television because again, it's like it's cool if people like have this type of conversation in passing, but to be on air saying this at this point, it just, I mean, what does it matter? Like, what does it really matter? Like, it's just funny because it is what it is. Like, it just is what it is. We got Caroline in the building. We got John Hicks. I'm glad that you could join us today. Definitely happy that you could join us. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is at this point. But yeah, the Michelle Obama thing. Like, man, Michelle is not gonna run for office. All right, what's up with this? Some shit with right, exactly. Hold on, let's see. We got Guardian Angels rough up man during live Hannity interview. Our guys have just taken down one of the migrant guys. Okay. So what? Was there somebody in the background, like in Times Square or something, who got tackled? And he was like, "Oh, that was a Mexican who came up here from the border." I don't know. Let's see what he says.
Is with us. He likes chocolate over vanilla. It sounded a little like Louis Farrakhan to me there. $53 million in debit cards for 500 people, on top of $180 million for more hotel rooms in New York, on top of the $1 billion that Biden has given people that enter our country illegally. And we saw what happened to the people on tape beating the hell out of 2 police officers. Curtis, things getting better in New York City?
Absolutely not. In fact, that's why I'm his #1 hater. Join the Curtis Lewa Haters Club of Eric Adams, who is single-handedly destroying this city by giving illegal aliens everything. They arrive in our city. Imagine you check into your hotel.
Again, I ain't got no love for Eric Adams either. It's and immigration again is always it's an issue, but it's just funny because, bro, what do you think New York City is? Like, what do you think it is? It's a bunch of fucking immigrants. That's what it's always been. Like, that is what New York City has always been.
You get concierge service. And
again, Eric Adams, I ain't got no love for Eric Adams, but it's like, oh, these immigrants are flooding the city. Like, when has that not been the case? Like, that has always been the case.
You get $1,000 debit card that you can use for the whole month. And you get more money than any veteran, any homeless person, any emotionally disturbed person in New York City gets. That's an absolute outrage. And this mayor just doesn't seem to get it. He takes care of the illegal aliens and forsakes his own people, especially.
He keeps saying aliens. Illegal aliens, illegal aliens. Like, bro, it's fucking New York City. Like, half the motherfuckers who live in New York City are undocumented. That ain't never been, like, bro, this shit is so stupid.
Especially the African-American poor and impoverished who elected him mayor of the city of New York over me, Curtis Lewa.
Yeah. Well, by the way, if you divide 53 million by 500, that's a $106,000 debit card. Not a bad deal. I don't think they're giving them to vets that are homeless in New York City. Not that I.
What? Mara, are you serious? No, I did not know that. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Well. Yeah, see, I'm not from up this way, so I guess that's quite something. Jesus. Glad he didn't win, but I mean, I learned something today. Thank you, Mara.
I've heard, Curtis.
Well, in fact, our guys have just taken down one of the migrant guys right here on the corner, 42nd
and again, how do you know this? Oh, we just took down my league of old people. Just like all them old ass people who was behind them, like, my league of old gentlemen and the one gentle lady just attacked a migrant. Like, bro, you're in the middle. It looks like he's in Times Square. Like, bro, you're in Times Square. Like, Times Square is where nobody who actually lives in New York goes. Like, people who live in the city don't go to Times Square. I mean, obviously they do, but that's like a tourist place. That's where tourists go. You're in the middle of basically the biggest tourist attraction on the planet, talking about they just took down one of the migrants. Like, what, dude?
7th, while all this
Can you pan the camera?
They've taken over. They've taken over. You'd like the camera over there if at all possible.
They've taken over. I'm in the middle of Times Square right now. Forget about it.
Like, bro, what do you're, oh my God.
Yep. You got your key open, guys.
What are we looking at?
He is out of control. Out of control.
How do you know who he is? This could just be some random person. How do you know who this is?
There. All right. Now, Eric Adams often complains he's getting no support from the federal government to help him with the surge of Joe Biden's unvetted illegals in New York. And that could be because of the so-called border czar is a little distracted right now. According to a report, Vice President Harris has now suddenly, quote, found her footing.
Keep kicking his ass.
That's what he says. Like, all right, we're gonna pan the cameras off now. We can't have too much of that on the airwaves.
All right, I'll keep kicking his ass, Sean. I'll tell you how it went. I'll get back to you later. I'm glad you came.
And she's now apparently. All right, earlier in the show with our interview with Curtis Sliwa, members of the Guardian Angels apprehended a man right there in Times Square in New York City. Curtis, we couldn't exactly see what was going on. What was happening?
20 minutes later, we're still kicking his ass.
In front of you while you were on the air with us?
Well, he had been shoplifting first. The Guardian Angels spotted them.
How they said he was shoplifting, bro? Your Guardian Angels were behind you. Like, what do you mean they spotted him? Was somebody with binoculars on top of a roof with heat vision, with X-ray vision, looking through the stores with? Somebody, you got Batman on the line? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? How do you know he was shoplifting?
We conducted a citizen's arrest.
Stopped him. He resisted. And let's just say we gave him a little pain compliance. His mother stopped him. He resisted.
Who is that, bro? That looks like that could be that could be a woman. I don't know who that is. That looks like, I'm not saying it is, but it looks. This is a very ambiguous looking person. Like, what are you doing? Like, who is this? This looks like just some random person in New York City.
We kicked his fucking ass.
And let's just say we gave him a little pain compliance. His mother back in Venezuela felt the vibrations. He's sucking concrete. The cops scraped him off the asphalt. He's on his way to jail, but they'll cut him loose. We got.
Bro, I'm sorry, but I would knock all of them out by myself. Like, are you serious? Like, what kind of tough guys are you? Like, you're a bunch of old people and a couple of women. Like, who did you just take down? I would literally beat all of them up by myself. I might have to pick something up and swing it at them, but like, bro, you're like 70 something years old.
Got to take 42nd Street back, Sean. These illegal
42nd Street? Oh, bro. He talking about downtown.
people think they own this street. They think they rule the night. This is our country. If they can't abide by the rules,
Right, he's like, not in this town, god damn it. And then like 50,000 other immigrants walk past. Like, bro, you're in New York City and you're filming in the middle of Times Square, where like no one who's in Times Square lives in New York. You're in the tourist capital of the planet, basically.
then we're going to kick them back from where they came.
Right, exactly. The woman looked like the strongest one. She looked like she the one who I might have to pick something up and hit her with. Obviously, we don't want to go too deep in this conversation, but she definitely looks like the strongest one. But it's like, what did you even just do? Y'all just went and started harassing someone. We saw him shoplifting from 3 blocks away.
You know, and it's amazing because I've been out with you on the streets of New York. I've been in Times Square with you. Police are very appreciative of the support you and the.
Right. You just like bob and weave and back out of the way. Like, bro, come on. I really don't want to do this to you, man. Just stop.
Guardian Angels offer them.
Yeah, Sean, but unfortunately, they've been told hands off. Well, guess what? We don't keep our hands off. You shoplift, you commit crime, you assault people, you don't belong in our country, and we're going to make sure you pay a price for that. We got to fight.
You don't belong in our country. Well, what about people who do those things who were born here? Like, because plenty of people steal shit who were born in America for many reasons. For many reasons. Oftentimes people steal because they just don't have access to much. Sometimes people steal for much worse reasons than that. But nonetheless, many an American citizen is a thief, including me. Not anymore, but I've stolen a lot of shit in my life. So what are you gonna kick me out of the country? Where are you gonna send me? Like, it's just like, but I'm glad that we looked at this because I did not know, Mara, I did not know that this guy almost became mayor of NYC. I mean, that's also kind of not that surprising. This is the type of shit that happened. This is what happens when Democrats don't vote, basically. And then, that doesn't, Democrats obviously have to do a better job to encourage people to come to the polls to vote for them. Obviously, we got to keep that accountability where it belongs. However, this is what happens when Democrats don't fucking vote. Like, these motherfuckers either win or almost do. We look what they prowl in the streets for more people who, like, you can look at all the lights behind them.
For what we know is right, and you saw a little bit of this. They got a little bit of taste of what the guardian angels are going to do to liberate Times Square from them.
Yeah, I was yes, exactly. They're in Times Square, like I said. They're literally in Times Square. Like, oh my god. Oh my god. Like, we're so used to this, but this is so ridiculous. Like, what we just watched was like literally some Saturday Night Live shit. Like, what the fuck? Like, oh, sounds like they doing some work in the basement. Sound like they got some pipes, some pipe works going on or something. But it's like, oh, like what the fuck did we just watch? And that dude really almost became mayor. Like, what? Like, you up here just assaulting random people in Times Square talking about, we're gonna take Times Square back from the illegal migrants. Good luck. Shit. Good luck, motherfucker. I mean, man, like I said, half of NYC is undocumented. And it's been that way forever. Okay. What shall we do now? This looks interesting. Let's peer into this. Let us peer into this. All right. Now this is interesting. What's going on with this shit? Over 3 million toothbrushes hacked and turned into secret army for criminals. Interesting, man. Anything with a chip, anything with a computer inside of it can be hacked, I guess. All right. The report says that the dental tools were used in a DDoS attack on a Swiss company's website. A distributed denial of service, or okay, that's what it is. DDoS is distributed denial of service, or DDoS attack is a malicious attempt to disrupt the normal traffic of a targeted server, service, or network. It works by overwhelming the target or its surrounding infrastructure with a flood of internet traffic. The attack reportedly resulted in the firm's website collapsing and the loss of millions of euros of business. Damn. That's a strong weapon that you could use against somebody, like for some type of ransom, or if like, give me this or else. Because, yeah, I mean, like, if you're a business or a platform that depends on traffic going down for a significant period of time, even if it's just a day, even if it's just a few hours, that really can fuck shit up. Because if everybody's depending on your platform to get things done efficiently, you know, that's a problem. But that's crazy that they did it with the toothbrushes, though. Experts said Experts said the compromised toothbrushes were running Java, a language of Internet of Things devices. Once infected, the army of malicious toothbrushes launched their successful attack. This attack is a reminder of the ever growing threat of smart objects being repurposed for harm. Quote, every device that is connected to the internet is a potential target or can be misused for an attack. Stefan Zuger, director of system engineering of Fortinet said. Zuger added that every connected device was being continually examined for vulnerabilities by hackers. To emphasize his threat, Fortinet recently connected an unprotected PC to the internet and showed it only took 20 minutes before it contracted malware.
Show me the life hack that you randomly saw one day that is now an unconscious standard practice in your life. I'll go first.
Okay, well, we just learned how to more easily keep an electric toothbrush clean, but that's not quite what we were going for. I mean, Mara, I guess that what would make sense for me for that is if like either some type of revenge or give me $1 million or I'll cost you $50 million in damages type of shit. Like that would be my guess. Like if I were a criminal and I had the ability to do something like that, I would either use it for revenge or I would say, give me, you can take a little loss with me or a huge loss if you don't do what I say. That's what it seems like to me. Update all your devices. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's definitely more of an issue for whatever company that is. But interesting because shit, I mean, so many devices are smart devices now too. The oven has its Wi-Fi, like it just like just in case the internet goes out type of thing. Like you can connect your like phone to the Wi-Fi or something. Hold on, let's see. Is that what that would be? Yes, exactly, Mara. I just saw what you said up there too. NYC would just stop working without undocumented immigrants. And again, the funniest part about that whole thing is it's like, bro, you're in the middle of Times Square saying this. Like what are you really doing? Nothing. You're doing nothing. Oh, we got Matt Gaetz. He says he misses Kevin McCarthy and what's the name? And George Santos. Let's see. My nose. A little itchy. Matt Gaetz declares, I have never missed George Santos more after a failed impeachment vote.
People tonight. And so while Blake Moore did not intentionally, vote, he would have voted to impeach Mayorkas. He voted no at the end as a procedural matter so that we have the ability to consider this later in the week. My other three colleagues took a very unfortunate position.
Right. Shit. I get Mary. I guess like it. I don't know. Oh, oh shit. I'll turn the oven down by 10 degrees. I guess. I don't know. Maybe if you're a super chef, that may come in handy if you all of a sudden have to run to the store or some shit.
Position.
We'll talk about that a little bit. Blake Moore was a yay, and then he switched to a nay. He switched to a nay when it was 215. So it's kind of deadlocked.
Why are they in the background? I don't really understand what's going on.
First layman, you would think.
Why did they have them in the background?
He switched to a nay when it was 215. So it's kind of deadlocked. First layman, you would think that would be the impetus to take another vote and maybe get it past the finish line. Why did he switch?
Well, because you're only able to reconsider a matter if you are on the
Bluetooth enabled litter box. Just in case your cats want to listen to some tunes while they handle their business.
Prevailing side of the vote. So we didn't have any of our people that were part of the 215 that had voted no. So trust me, Blake Moore wants Mayorkas impeached. But I got to tell you, Bowling, as I'm watching that board and it's 215 to 215, I have never missed George Santos more. Like, and what irony that the New York Republicans who drove Santos out of Congress, who are watching the children in their state being driven out of schools so that those schools can become migrant housing centers, that now we don't get to execute on an impeachment trial of Mayorkas because they threw George Santos out. I also wondered, like, wouldn't it have been nice to still have Kevin McCarthy in the House of Representatives? Never thought you'd hear me say that, but Kevin McCarthy, after being dislodged as Speaker, took his marbles and went home. He would have been a reliable vote for impeachment, but if he wasn't Speaker, he wasn't willing to stick around. And I think that the errant expulsion of Santos and the abject selfishness of Kevin McCarthy contributed to this result as much as the 3 Republican members who voted no sincerely.
And Matt Gaetz in a tweet said, this is a tweet. Here, I might as well just pull it up. Let's see, we got for his endorsement of Kevin McCarthy for the chair of the RNC. He says, I fully endorse Kevin McCarthy for RNC chair. Kevin is well organized and a very high revenue fundraiser. He will also be well liked by the RNC committee. The RNC chair doesn't make any policy decisions, set any agenda, or negotiate against Democrats ever. Kevin would be terrific. Basically, what he just said is Kevin McCarthy can raise a lot of money for us. That's basically what he just said. Kevin can really do a number for us to raise a bunch of money. This is so funny because this is like Biden's biggest hope right here is that Trump with the conviction. Because God, this race sucks. This race sucks. This presidential race sucks. Around half of swing state voters wouldn't vote for Trump if he were convicted of a crime. I know the trial for March 4th, that got postponed indefinitely, but he still got 3 other ones. Okay, which one was it? 91 criminal charges. Hold on. It's okay, so what? Morning Consult Bloomberg poll. The poll, which included roughly 5,000 voters from Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, found that 53% of respondents wouldn't vote for Trump if one of his criminal cases resulted in a conviction. All right, so that's a 53% right there. So then those numbers, the conviction numbers plus the youth vote plus the Muslim American vote perhaps are the most important things for the Biden administration to focus on, because he'll get pretty much everybody else when it comes to just diehard registered Democrats. People who always show up to Democratic races are gonna vote. He'll get those people, but the youth vote, he's really struggling with that, and that'll continue to be a big problem for him because people, not much of no one really is super excited about Biden. Really, no one's excited about Biden, but people like in their 20s and are even less excited because he's even more of like a bygone era. So I can see how it just feels like, whatever. So yeah, the youth vote, the Muslim American vote, that's going to remain his most important focus. But Trump is almost certainly going to get convicted. He's got 91 felonies, and one of his trials got pushed back, but he can't do that for all of them. So this remains Trump's biggest obstacle, and the youth vote and the Muslim American vote remain Trump's biggest. Yes, raising money is McCarthy's most valuable skill. That is his only skill, indeed. All right, what we got? Okay, we actually already checked that out. Oh God. Now, I just wanted to look at this headline because this is quite intense right here. This is pretty intense. A Tennessee man asked his wife for a divorce, so she and their daughter beat him with a skillet. Damn. Both of them look like they don't regret it at all. A Tennessee man told his wife that he wanted a divorce, so she and her daughter allegedly attacked him with a cast iron skillet and knife. Damn. It was like, motherfucker, no, you ain't. You can leave me if you can try. God damn. So the mom is 62, the daughter's 29. Oh god damn. That's unfortunate. But yeah, man. Relationships are complicated. This mugshot. This is like the perfect headline and mugshot ever. Oh man. Yeah, we gonna have to do like mugshot Mondays or something. Like even though it's Wednesday, we gonna start doing mugshot Mondays. You know, see the funniest stories, and then see if we can find some hotties. You know, some mugshot hotties. You know, we'll do ratings and stuff. We'll do some for the ladies too. You know, we'll get it all going. But yes, this is truly a classic right here. Mugshot Wednesday, but we're gonna have to move it to Mugshot Monday. Right, right, exactly. They beat his ass with the dirtiest pan that they possibly could. It don't get worse than that. Up. We got some weed testing things now. We got breathalyzers for alcohol. It look like we got similar things for marijuana coming along. New testing method confirms recent cannabis use with 96% accuracy. Federally funded study. This will actually assist in states legalizing it, just in terms of like the political argument of, well, we don't want people driving impaired. Like there's got to be some type of way to test it. I've heard that for years. I've heard people saying that for years, and I'm just to say that I know that that is a concern with a lot of people. So this is something that could alleviate that. Also, something that could cause issues here and there, but this is definitely useful. And two, not everybody reacts the same on weed. And unless you're somebody who smokes weed all the time, like I smoke weed all the time. Unless you're someone like that, then like so like I be high, but not really high. But people who don't smoke weed a lot, when they smoke, they are so high. So this is definitely useful for sure. We got the advice pod in the building. What's popping? What's going on? Yes, indeed, Action Jackson. Man, the last advice pod we did was so funny. What was it? It was what were some of the questions that we asked? Because Rayshawn, oh my god, that shit was funny. Rayshawn was hilarious that night. All right. As marijuana becomes mainstream, it is more important to find a way to determine a person's recent consumption. This is something that scientists have been trying to figure out for a while now, but just recently may have come up with an appropriate and accurate methodology. The new techniques have been described in a paper published in the Clinical Toxicology Journal. The driving simulation study was partly funded by the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Quote, since THC accumulates and lingers in fat tissue, daily cannabis users may maintain constant elevations of THC in the blood, even long after the psychoactive effects abate, said Michael Kosnet, medical doctor, and I don't know what MPH stands for. Medical, I don't know. I'm not, I have medical physician. Hey, that's what it means to me. Medical physician. Hey, an association adjunct professor and cannabis researcher at the Colorado School of Public Health in the Department of Environmental and Occupational Health. Officially, there's no definite or reliable scientific method of determining if a person behind the wheel is impaired, as common blood drug tests used by law enforcement usually measure delta 9 THC. And two, I mean, unless you can't do a blood test on the road, like just stick your arm out the window, sir. Like you can't do that. We're gonna draw some blood. The main okay, the problem with measuring THC alone is that THC remains in a person's system long after the impairment. Yeah, be in there for a long time. You had to quit smoking cold turkey. If you're a regular smoker, you gotta quit smoking for a while. Um, but yeah, that is definitely tricky for that very reason. I mean, like it could be I, I mean, even if you have some type of a test, like, because if you have a lawyer, it's just not quite the same as alcohol, because alcohol's out of your system so fast. A- and yeah, like if you're driving really drunk and you do a breathalyzer test and you blow high, yeah, that definitely is significant. But if you get pulled over and you do some type of quick test and it's like, oh, you got THC in you, I mean, I mean, that'll definitely be a huge problem for people who can't afford lawyers, which is a lot of people. But if you could afford a lawyer, I mean, I can only imagine that there's going to be so many discrepancies in terms of people who were charged who shouldn't have been, because this machine, the either the readings weren't accurate, or there's reasonable doubt, or stuff like some things that defense lawyers will look at for like breathalyzer machines is like those machines have to be tested. They have to be audited every X amount of time. So it'll be like, oh, this machine wasn't audited when it was supposed to be, so we can't really take its findings to heart. Shit like that. It's man, it's interesting how shit works when you really get down to it. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but there's just so many loopholes. And when you ain't got no money, it's so easy to take advantage of people. Because man, when you got money, you come to find like, man, prosecution in police be out here fucking people, man, just because they can. Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely interesting because again, like I said, like it is. I mean, it's not something that you can just wave off. Like impaired driving is something that has to be addressed. Like you can't seriously push for legalization, and then when the issue of impaired driving comes up, you can't just be like, you know. So addressing it like this is better, like how we are now. Like, well, how long THC stays in your system and shit like that. But we may never really have a good way to do this, but I I think it's just fine. The researchers analyzed THC and its metabolite levels in both daily users and occasional users, who no more than twice a week for the occasional. And had a control group that didn't use marijuana at all. The scientists tested participants' blood. But see, this is another problem, like testing people's blood. Like, unless something happens, like, unless there's an accident or unless someone gets arrested for some reason, you can't just draw people's blood. And you can't do that shit at the police station either. Like, I've been arrested before and I've had to like, pee in a cup type of shit. I learned I didn't really need to do that. I was fine. I could have said no, but like, I don't know, man. The more that we read, the more this just seems like a test was developed to see when you last smoked, but there's still too many issues with it. And then just like we've been talking about, one important limitation of this study is that the results don't show impairment but only recent cannabis use. Yeah, nah, this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough at all. And two, like I don't really, unless you're somebody who just doesn't smoke, then it's not going to impact you. You're driving the same way that like if you're just toasted drunk. But definitely interesting to talk about. Definitely, that was definitely interesting to look into. Um, let's see what we got. No, whatever. I don't need to do this. We don't need to go over this. Some of the stories I'll just be deleting, and we don't even need to go over because it's just like a waste. Oh, we got Sebastian Gorka. Apparently, he pissed off MAGA. He made MAGA mad. What went down with Mr. Gorka? Sebastian Gorka loses his entire fan base for saying Tucker Carlson is doing KGB PR by interviewing Putin. Apparently, Tucker Carlson interviewed Vladimir Putin. I don't know. I'm some shit. Sebastian Gorka disagrees. He doesn't think that should have went down. And MAGA's like, ah! Sebastian Gorka, the Newsmax TV host who briefly served as an aide to former President Donald Trump, is facing intense backlash from right-wingers due to his criticism of Tucker Carlson. The ex-Fox News host roiled many people this week with his visit to Moscow, and the Kremlin confirmed Wednesday morning that he had indeed interviewed Russian President Vladimir Putin, marking Putin's first interview with any Western news figure since he invaded Ukraine. I remember when Americans didn't do PR for KGB colonels, Gorka wrote Tuesday. Well, without being agents of the Kremlin. And oh, look at that. Sebastian Gorka has Donald Trump's mugshot as his profile picture, but that's not good enough for MAGA, apparently. Apparently that's not good enough. So what did they say? It said, pay attention to any fake news media shill who is calling for Tucker Carlson. Okay, I don't know what this is, but how did they reply? Although Carlson's interview was widely condemned, with a few people going as far as to say he shouldn't be allowed back in the US, damn. Don't let him back in here. That's definitely a bit much. Somebody said, I'm old enough to remember when journalists didn't have to agree with you to give you an interview. Reads the top reply to Gorka. I remember when I respected Sebastian Gorka. What the hell happened to him? Oh, it's over. It's over. See, that's the problem when you do the whole audience capture thing, man. When you're not authentic, you really don't have any control over what you do. And more importantly than having control over what you do, I mean, I can't imagine that these people enjoy their work. I mean, work is work regardless. Nobody wants to work every day. Sometimes work is better than not. Oftentimes, once you get going, it can be more enjoyable, but nobody, wants to do this all the time. Nobody wants to work every day. My point being, God, like when I get on camera and I do shit for TYT and I do whatever it is, like I make a career of showing myself in a variety of different mediums. And man, I can't imagine what it would be like if I went the audience capture route, because it's just like you're a slave to what other people just want to see. Which serves them right, man. I mean, it really serves you right. If you get caught up in audience capture, especially if it's for some BS, like at least if you're going to get in some audience capture, at least make it be some positive shit, like waking up every day and telling motherfuckers to be thankful and go to the gym or some shit like that. Like, at least if you're going to, be an audience capture, that's at least cool. Like, tell people to call their mom and go touch grass and shit. Like, teaching people how to get over addiction and stay positive, but you get the point. What in the world has happened to you? Another conservative ex-user replied. Someone said, Gorka is blocking everyone who posts this in his mentions as his anti-American first meltdown continues. Oh, anti-America first meltdown continues. That's all it took. All it took was him saying something about Tucker Carlson for him to just, he's not for the USA anymore. He don't fuck with us no more. He think he too cool. He think we can't sit at his table anymore. Because my man said, I remember when Americans didn't do PR for KGB colonels. Well, without being agents of the Kremlin. That two sentences is all it took. And that's just like Donald Trump, is it not? That is literally like just like Donald Trump. It doesn't matter how much, it don't matter how much you kiss his ass. It don't matter how much of a fool you make of yourself for him. None of that is important. No, 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 no. The second you do anything, I mean, if you breathe the wrong way, it's over for you. You're done. You're finished. All right. Right, exactly. What does Putin have to do with America first? Like, you never know, man. That's why you can't go pledging allegiance to the wrong people. Because the next thing you know, you're a slave. We got more Republicans upset that Kevin McCarthy and George Santos aren't in the House anymore because they failed to impeach Mayorkas. They were not successful in doing so. Now, what we got? Hold on. Matter of fact, speaking of that, let's go here. Speaker Mike Johnson. Let's talk to Speaker Mike Johnson. Let's see. Let me X this off because we don't need that. Johnson speaks after 2 stinging defeats for Republicans. Democracy is messy. That's why we want Donald Trump in here, so we can get rid of it, goddammit.
That's House Speaker Mike Johnson giving remarks on Capitol Hill, blaming President Biden and Democrats for the failure of his standalone Israel aid bill that did not pass the House last night. Johnson also called the failed impeachment vote for Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas a setback, saying democracy is messy. Johnson has said that Republicans will hold another vote to impeach the Homeland Security Secretary after last night's vote failed. Now, that happened after 3 Republican congressmen voted no, and 1 Democrat actually rushed to the floor from the hospital to vote against the measure. The Senate is also set to hold a key test vote on a bipartisan immigration and foreign aid bill. Now, Republicans are backing away from that deal after former President Trump called on them to kill it. Speaker Johnson has already said that bill is dead on arrival in the House. I want to bring in ABC's Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill for more. Jay, you were standing right there as the House Speaker was speaking. You even asked him a question yourself. He's saying, listen, politics is messy sometimes. This is how the messy sausage gets made. But he's promising that the job will be done here. What does that look like, and can he deliver?
Well, one of the key questions he got, Diane, was why bring this to the floor if you didn't have the votes? That's a question that Republicans, frankly, asked themselves, some of them who supported this Mayorkas impeachment resolution after the vote last night. And it's interesting because Johnson kind of head-faked towards what his political calculus was, which he said, and I'll read his remarks directly for you. Quote, sometimes people show up when they're not expected to be in the building and change the equation. That seems to be an acknowledgement of the fact that Al Green of Texas, a Democrat, a reliable no vote, was in the hospital. He was getting surgery, and so his no vote wasn't there for Democrats. So the 3 Republicans who had indicated over the course of the day that they were also going to vote against impeaching Mayorkas if Al Green was out wouldn't have been enough to tank the resolution. And what happens at the last minute? Well, Al Green shows up. He's pushed in a wheelchair. He's wearing hospital scrubs and compression socks, sources tell us, and his last-minute no vote tanks the Mayorkas impeachment resolution. So the question becomes, was Speaker Johnson counting on Green not being there, and that's why he brought this to the floor for a vote? Or did he think he could flip one of those no votes in his party into a yes vote on impeachment? It's unclear, but the reality here is this is an embarrassment for a fairly new Speaker of the House who made this a priority. The further right of his party, particularly Marjorie Taylor Greene, had said that this is something that they wanted for a...
Bro, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I have no clue why they wanted to impeach Mayorkas. I don't know. I was so uninterested in the story. I have no fucking clue why they wanted to impeach him. And, I mean, it didn't happen. Clearly, it wasn't going to happen. But I was like, that's just not, I didn't keep up with it. And, it's just interesting because I follow this shit for a living. There's a lot of what I do. But also, no one cares about this shit. It's not because I didn't follow it, but just like, you just know that this is one of those things that nobody cares about. Nobody's following this shit. except for MAGA enthusiasts. That's it.
Long time. His response to all of that, as you noted, Diane, he said that this is, quote, a setback, but he said it's messy.
Messy
Yeah, the border. Some shit with the border, I believe. Something like that.
is for sure. He said it's a mess, but we're cleaning it up. Jay, meanwhile, this bipartisan border deal in the Senate is facing a test vote today. What are you watching for there?
Well, I mean, there are kind of two votes that we have to watch for. The first vote is on the entirety of the.
Right, exactly, Fritz. They don't know either. They don't know why the hell they was trying to impeach him. They have absolutely no clue. And you know what? That's perfect right there. And that's how we can make ourselves feel better sometimes. When we don't know what in the hell is going on, sometimes we have to remind ourselves, these motherfuckers don't know what they're doing either. They don't know what's going on either. Very good point, Fritz. So thank you for that.
Package. So it's the deal that was struck and released over the weekend that the Senate is going to vote on, which includes funding for Ukraine and funding for Israel, and also those wholesale changes to U.S. immigration policy that were a product of bipartisan negotiations. That bill is going to go up for a test vote, and it's expected to fail because Republicans have turned against this bill in the last few days.
I guess that this was just that. I guess Mayorkas, that was just one of the stories I just didn't have time for. You know, I was on OnlyFans. You feel me? I was too busy on my OnlyFans when that was going down.
Including Mitch McConnell, who supports the deal that was struck, but said the political will just isn't there in his party to get this over the goal line. The ground had shifted beneath his feet politically, he acknowledged, over the last few months while those negotiations were playing out. Then there's expected to be a second vote that has just Ukraine and Israel aid and aid for Taiwan, which was included in that original package, but not those immigration reforms in it. Watch.
And the Senate ain't about to do nothing because they don't ever do nothing. The Senate don't ever do nothing. I think Ted Cruz, I think I saw something where Ted Cruz was like calling for Mitch McConnell to step down from GOP leadership, which, you know, man, you know it's time for you to go. But guess what, Ted Cruz? It's also time for you to go. It's also time for you to get the hell up out of here, Ted Cruz. You know, sometimes like I'll see these stories, and the more and more I'm realizing so many of these viral like dating stories, I mean, it's just people who say that it happened to them on TikTok. Like there's no real way to quantify it. Like, did this really happen? Did this really go down? Like, I don't know. And so often too, like, you know, people will, oh, I just so happened to be in the right place in the right time when this crazy thing went down. And it'd be funny because sometimes people they don't edit out the beginning, and you can tell like when they're like, all right, go. But oh man, this is my man's was feeling it right here. He was like, I'm never gonna see this woman again, so I'm just gonna go all out because I hope he don't think he gonna see her again. She went on a date with a guy, paid for all of his drinks, and then he kissed 3 random girls in front of her. I'm sure that turned her on. I'm sure she was like, fuck yeah. The women can't keep their hands off of him. That's how you know he's a catch. That's how you know he's a catch. You know, the fact that not 1, not 2, but 3 different women were willing to make out with him in front. Oh, there we go. TikTok. See, that's the thing. You know, stuff like this happen. Yes, absolutely it does. But when you see, oh, a TikTok creator said it, like, oh, okay, well, then there's a good chance it didn't happen. And like it, you know what I'm saying? Like it'll be like it'll be some woman who will be like, I make all my own money and I don't have to spend any of it because my man does this and my man does that and he does that and he does this. And it's like, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. And then the whole internet will be discussing the TikTok for like a week and a half, and the whole time it's not even real. The whole time is just some bullshit. Oh, we got some Trump rage. Let's see. We got to do at least one of these a day. We can't let a day go by where we don't do at least one Trump rage, because he's always doing it. You know? Trump rages that failed immunity claim means Bush, Obama, and Biden might all soon be in prison. I mean, like, bro, like we have had 46 other presidential administrations before the current one. Like, this has never been an issue until you, because no one has done this but you, because you're an idiot. You're a disaster. I mean, it's like every night you go to sleep and ponder on how you can fuck things up, and then you wake up and you do just that. And the idea that the whole establishment is just out to get poor Donald Trump. Because he's such a man of the people. He's such a threat to the establishment. What did he say? Okay, this is the opinion. And then he said,
If a president does not have immunity, the opposing party during his or her term in office can extort and blackmail the president by saying that, if you don't give us everything we want, we will indict you for things you did while in office, even if everything done was totally legal and appropriate,
argued Trump in a Truth Social post on Wednesday.
That would be the end of the presidency and our country as we know it. And it's just one of the many traps there would be for a president without presidential immunity. Obama, Bush, and soon crooked Joe Biden would all be in prison. Protect presidential immunity. Make America great again.
We had to do it. We had to do at least one, because we can't. We can never skip out in it, bro. I'm really curious to know how many posts on True Social Donald Trump has made and reposted just this year alone. I'm really, really curious to know. It has to be. There's no way it's not at least 1,000. No way, bro. He posts so much. That's all he does. All right, we got one more video, and then we got an update about attorney generals groups getting caught red-handed with their hands in the corruption cookie jar. They got their hands in the corruption cookie jar. CNN's Breonna Taylor shuts down Republican congressman on Biden's powers to shut the border down.
Border Patrol Council, right, which is the union representing Border Patrol agents, which has previously endorsed former President Trump, saying this would be a deterrent. So why do you disagree with them? Why do you think they're wrong?
Well, look, the union themselves, there's good things that they've been a part of with Homeland Security Committee, but, the union themselves, they also, the gentleman that's the spokesman there also supported Mayorkas. I'm a part of the committee that sees him.
Oh, there we go, Mayorkas.
As is complicit in the problem that we see because he refuses to enforce congressional law. We have no problem if the Immigration and Nationality Act would be enforced to the level that Congress said it should be enforced. Detention until
right. Trump gonna die like Tywin Lannister. Trump gonna die just like Tywin Lannister did, except he ain't gonna get shot with an arrow by one of his sons, by Barron or nothing like that. He just gonna die on the toilet with a phone in his hand.
Proceeding. That's what the Immigration and Nationality Act in Section 235 says. And yet you have an administration who's claiming, well, here's a solution, but the real solution is it's already been on the books for decades, and they refuse to enforce it. 2017, it was being enforced. You had the lowest number of illegal immigration in our nation's history, 40 years. And yet, what's the difference between 2017 and to date? The difference is an administration that chooses to be lawless. And Republicans, go ahead.
Can we have an honest conversation about this? Because the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952 that you're talking about also says that people can come to the border and ask for asylum, even if they cross into the U.S. without authorization. And if you're citing that bill, you should be very much aware of this, because this particular bill in the Senate side would change that. It would give the president the ability to do exactly what you were citing, the part of the bill that you're citing. Because in November of 2018, when former President Trump tried to use that very bill that you're talking about to curb illegal migrant crossings, he was prevented from doing so by a federal court because it violated the very law that he was.
Yes, exactly, Margarita. That's even better. He gonna have that whole bag in his hands with the fries just sprawled out in his lap. You know what I'm saying? He gonna have the burger wrapper with the fries, and it's gonna be on his lap, and he gonna be like
Trying to use the law that you were saying is on the books.
The law that's on the books, President Biden on day 5 utilized it when it came to Brazil, South America, South Africa, and United Kingdom. He utilized that provision of law that he has the executive authority to do.
It can't apply to asylum, Congressman.
Now, hang on. Let me finish. But let me finish. We won't have an honest conversation. When on day 5, President Biden utilized the Immigration Nationality Act to say to those from the United Kingdom, South Africa, and Brazil, you're done, because there is a provision that says a class of aliens or entirety of aliens, if they are seen as being destructive to the United States, the president has the authority to holler whoa. He refuses to. He knows it's there. He's used it before. But
it's just so. It's so tiresome. It's so tiresome. I mean, what do you even really have to say to that other than, oh, Republicans being Republicans? All right, let's see. All right, here we go. Check this out. Groups of attorney generals got thousands from companies their members were policing in 2023. The donations often unlock entry into association gatherings and selective events, sometimes as the state's top prosecutors are considering legal action against the industries. Key players in emerging industries like cryptocurrency and sports betting flooded state attorneys general with cash in the second half of 2023, as the top law enforcement officers have moved to regulate them. The beloved cryptocurrency platform Coinbase, gig economy companies, and sports betting groups have thousands or tens of thousands each to the gave rather thousands or tens of thousands each to the Democratic Attorneys General Association or Republican Attorneys General Association in that time, according to documents filed with the Internal Revenue Service last week. While legal, the donations highlight a common political strategy for businesses or industries navigating challenging regulatory environments. The money unlocks exclusive access at association gatherings and coveted face time with officials outside the courtroom. But it also raises questions about the potential for conflicts of interest between prosecutors and the corporate entities they are charged with policing. California Attorney General Rob Bonta, a Democrat, is currently probing the lawfulness of daily fantasy sports betting in the state, and other prosecutors have issued warnings of deceptive practices by sports betting companies since the Supreme Court overturned a virtual ban on the industry over 5 years ago. Over the last year, the fantasy sports industry has given hundreds of thousands of dollars to associations of attorneys general on both sides of the aisle. A group called Fantasy Sports Operators Coalition gave $125,000 to DAGA, and the Coalition for Fantasy Sports gave about $125,000 to RAGA. The fantasy sports company Underdog Sports gave $35,000 to DAGA, and its competitor Prize Picks gave $750 to RAGA and $25,000 to DAGA. We have some change left. Let's just give it to the Republicans. Bonta's campaign also received thousands from Underdog Sports and Prize Picks in 2023. In a statement, Bonta's press office said that his decisions are based solely on the law and protecting the safety, health, and well-being of all Californians. Indeed, I'm sure that's the case, Mr. Bonta. High contributions offer organizations entry into selective events. Attendance is key to developing and maintaining open lines of communication with state attorneys generals and their staff attorneys. The law firm Troutman Pepper said on its website. No surprise there. Well, look at that. We got the sports betting industry, and we got, what was it? Sports betting and cryptocurrency. Not unlike pretty much everything else on earth, but there we go. You know, it's an open line of corruption. Who do we need to give money to? What do we have to do? What do we have to do? We gonna be leisured. Oh, thank you, Mayor. I'm glad that I saw that because I was I had a pretty good idea that I didn't say that right. I figured that the words that came out of my mouth weren't quite correct. But yes, it's an open auction. If you can't corrupt the senator, you corrupt the members of the house. If you can't do that, you go to the attorneys generals, you go to the defense attorneys, you go everywhere, you go any and everywhere that you can to put your dollar bills into the system, which in and of itself isn't a bad thing because we do want to be able to do that as citizens. But it is a bad thing when corporations and billionaires basically always have a way to give more money because you can't give this much, so we got political action committees. Political action committees have rules and regulations, so we got super political action committees. The Supreme Court come in, do its thing, sprinkle a little bit of corruption there, sprinkle some here, and that's what it is. That is what it is. Now, we had a wonderful Wednesday stream. This was a very fun stream. I had a good time today. I am about to get some food in my belly. And then hopefully these clips, because like I said, I had the clips from yesterday ready to post, but the sound in the live stream is fine. But for whatever reason, when I recorded it over, like it sounded terrible. So hopefully that doesn't happen today. I'm gonna get those clips up and then I'm gonna play me some video games. I'm playing a game called Shadow of Mordor. It's a Lord of the Rings game. It got Game of the Year award in 2014 and it's pretty cool, man. This game is cool. I really like it. It's a good time. So I'm gonna hurry up and get this work done so I can play some video games. And I will catch y'all tomorrow. So you have a wonderful rest of the day. And I really, really, truly appreciate y'all for everything that you do.